you ring makers out there in Facebook land, making a video showing how I glue up my veneer strips into ring blanks. Because everybody was asking, I don't use forms. I gave up on that a while ago just because it didn't seem to give me too much benefit based on the way that I do it. So basically getting a veneer strip, which I use 24-inch or thereabouts. These are actually closer to 26-inch. I get from a guy off of Etsy. I can try to put a link in the video here. I'll post it on YouTube. Basically getting those into this, which is a pretty standard process of soaking it, rolling it on a socket, and then I tape it up and I dry it. And then once it gets to that point, then I glue one end, wrap it as tight as I can, and then I end up with a ring blank that looks like this. This is actually one that I've processed. I've put it into my mandrel, or my chuck, which I'll show you in a minute, and cut out the inside so it's perfectly round on the inside. And then I also squared off the one edge so that I have something flat to reference to. So this is one that can be a maximum of a size 10 ring. Once I do more finishing to it, it may get bigger, but I can at least get a size 10 out of this. So basically the way I do it is I take the strip that's been formed, and I am going to cheat a little bit here because the actual gluing process does take a little bit longer to set before you can actually work with it. So, but what I'll do is I'll start to kind of roll it a little bit tight, and I do this based on how big or what size ring I want to end up with, or at least what ring options I want to end up with. And you can see that it's very thick. So once I get it actually all glued up, and no longer do I need to worry about this, what I'm doing with it, because I can cut some from the inside, and I have room to cut from the outside to bring it down to whatever size or shape of ring or blank that I want. So I'm going to turn this down so you don't have to look at my ugly face anymore. Let's see what I'm doing here. So once I get it to approximately the size that I want, then I'm going to take some thick CA, and I usually just put a drop, which I already have here, but I'm going to do it here. Dropped here on my silicone pad. If you don't have any of these silicone pads, I recommend them like crazy. These are lifesavers as far as gluing up, because nothing sticks to them. So I take a little bit on a stainless steel pick. I found a whole bunch of these in 2 different sizes. I think it was on Amazon somewhere. Just look up a stainless steel pick and you'll find it. And basically what I'll do is I will take the CA and I will spread it over the flap that's on the inside of this, where the leading edge, and basically I do sand the edge down so that it lays flat, and that makes it easier to work with. Then I will take the pick and I will stick it into the first edge of the wrap, and I will move the end of it until a little bit of CA glue gets into one layer of this flap. So, and then once I spread it around a little bit, take the steel pick, push it against the edge until it dries, and that way you're sure to have that first wrap as secure as possible, and you won't have any gaps or anything. So I'm going to cheat because it's going to take too long to actually dry before I can work with it. Although it did dry pretty good, but I'm going to move to one that I did just a minute ago that is for sure dry. And you can see that the place where I glued it now has stayed in place. So that's the maximum size of the ring that I can, or excuse me, the minimum size, I guess, that I can do. And then I'll do this with gloves because, as you know, some of these veneers, the hardwoods, are very sharp and splintery, and it hurts like hell when I do this. So basically I'll just take it and I will roll it like this, and I'll just keep doing that. In fact, sometimes I'll stick my pinky in there and I'll rotate from the inside, and then you can feel that it's getting tighter and tighter as you twist until it will not move at all. You know, and some of the woods you have to go for a little bit longer to get it nice and tight. But once you have it, you can pretty much tell, because if you squeeze one way or the other, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you can see that it'll flex and it'll open up the gaps in between the layers of the wraps. I'm really hoping you guys can see this, and I'm really hoping you guys are hearing what I'm saying. But then, once I have it as tight as I need it, take a bit of blue painter's tape, and just use the one that was on there originally. Now, if I'm gonna do CA, I just use the painter's tape. But if I'm going to use cactus juice, what I will do is I will take a little dot of the thick CA again and put it on the last edge of the end of the veneer, and seal that up. Because if you try to use painter's tape in the cactus juice, it just falls off, and eventually it doesn't actually soak into the fibers properly. So then I have a nice tight wind, and then I just take it, I take the thin CA glue, super watery, and essentially I'll just drip it. It's a colossal waste of CA glue, I know this, because it drips everywhere. I'll do a little bit on one side, flip it over, do a little bit on the other side until it's severely saturated, completely saturated. And then I will just let that sets up eventually, and it's completely stabilized, completely hardened. All the fibers between each of the layers of the wraps is glued together, and you end up again with a nice tight, I mean, you can't even see hardly the separation, any separation in the fibers between the wraps. So, and then basically what I do, I'm gonna move y'all, sorry, into my dungeon. I look like a mad scientist with my magnifying goggles, blind as a bat. And welcome to my, this is my dungeon. This is my other lathe. Let's see if I can get this set up here so you can see. But basically take it, and this part of it, you don't have to be super precise, because this is already done, so I'm not actually going to do it. So I'm just showing you what I do. I use, this is a PSI Woodworking Barracuda chuck with the jaws that come with it. They work perfectly well for holding the outside of a ring, and it'll go pretty squarely in here. And I actually designed a machining head system that I used to use. I won't bore you with that. No pun intended. But this is what I do have. The I don't remember what this one's called, but it's a boring head. This thing is, it's well worth the price, I tell you. I think it was like $95 or something. And it's friggin' amazing, because it will precisely bore into all of your ring cores, ring blanks. You know, if you have solid wood cores that you're making, I've got one that I'm getting ready to do, which is a burl. But anyway, you can use that to bore the inside of this, so it'll be perfectly square and flat on the inside. And then by the time you do that, you can put it onto any of your standard ring blanks. I apologize for the darkness. Feel free to fast forward. Then it will fit into any of your standard mandrels, like this mandrel I got. This is the best mandrel I've had to date. Super true. Always holds the blanks squarely. I do also have the Unimandrel, which is very popular. But probably the most popular mandrels are these. Now, I've heard people say that they wobble a lot. I've noticed that once I got the new Nova chuck, these go into that chuck, into just the blank without any jaws, and they're perfectly square. I've never had a problem with these. If you do ever find that they're a little bit out of round, you can take a, and I'm getting off topic here, but you can take your blades, like one of your lathe chisels with the carbide tips, and actually square these up a little bit. I also use it to clean up when I get CA glue all over everything, because if anybody's got any tips for keeping CA glue from getting it all over everything, I'm all ears. So, but anyway, that is how I do my blanks, and I am able to do either one at a time to order or to spec, or if I'm doing a whole bunch just to have an inventory of different sizes, then I will do I will glue them up, and then I will use the cactus juice in a vacuum chamber. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you know where I'm at on Facebook. Bye guys.